Don't the lights turn back on?
Sure.
Okay. It was November 2009. Everyone was getting ready for Thanksgiving, but my family wasn't. We got a phone call, and my mom and dad called my sister and I into the living room, and they told us my uncle committed suicide. At that moment, I was thinking to myself, how could he have done this? He was always the fun-loving uncle, always laughing and joking around. His family was very well put together. His son was graduating from high school that year, and they were also going to be taking a family vacation. Suicide is something very unexpected, and no one imagines suicide affecting their life. Knowing about the signs, prevention, and how to help families deal with grief is very important. The signs and symptoms, one big sign is depression, and for the signs of depression, they could have anxiety, attention difficulties, they could be distracted, or have oppositional behaviors. Depression is also a risk factor, and a risk factor, if they have depression, they are more at risk to have suicidal thoughts. So you have to be careful when you watch out for depression, because it's also just a risk factor. Substance abuse and substance abuse can also be a warning sign for depression and suicide. Now that you know the signs of suicide, next is to know how to prevent suicide. The family's role in prevention is very important. According to the article, Role of the Family in Suicide Prevention by James Lomax, there are 3 types of families that can help people thinking about suicide. One is the cohesive family, and they should show warmth to the patient, support, and attend family meetings and office visits along with the patient. And when we talk about the patient, it's the person thinking of killing themselves. Second is adhesive families, and they should share their thoughts about coping skills or life lessons with the patient. They should also offer encouragement. Third is a formation of a new family, and they should encourage a patient into a group therapy and community support groups. They should also provide good ego support. The schools should talk with students and teachers about suicide and depression. There are numerous workshops that teachers, parents, students, and anyone can go to. In my high school, we had SAD. That stood for Students Against Destructive Decisions, and they would come around and talk to you about different things like drugs and alcohol, and one big one was suicide. If you have someone who has lost someone to suicide, knowing how to help them deal with their grief is helpful. Survivors of suicide loss include immediate family members, friends, other relatives, and coworkers. According to the Harvard Mental Health Letter, there are 6 things you can do to help the grieving process. 1 is to normalize the grief. Encourage the family to get back into their routine, so they're not just sitting there grieving all the time. It's better for them to get back into the swing of things. 2 is to ease the guilt. They think to themselves, what could I have done to prevent this person from killing themselves? It's not the person's fault. It's the person the person killing themselves was the one that were thinking about it. 3 is to respect differences. Everyone grieves in a different way, so you have to respect how they grieve. 4 is to encourage openness. Individuals can think about their loss, and so you should prevent or help them talk about their loss and the details about how it all happened. 5 is plan ahead. You should help the family plan the victim's birthday and family holidays so it's not so difficult. And the final one, 6, is make connections. Provide information to the family about support groups and different activities that the family can go to. I hope none of you have to go through losing a family member to suicide. At the time of my uncle's suicide, I wish my family had known the signs, prevention, and different ways to help with the grieving process. My family never expected to have my uncle kill himself. We always thought we were a stable, well put together family. We always celebrated holidays together. And suicide is very hard to deal with. And if anyone goes through it with it, if anyone deals with it, just know that life will go on and your family will remain as close to you as possible.